Hey y'all, how's it going? So we got part 4 now of our Chakram Hex build. We left off just exiting out of Caldera, where we unfortunately did not get enough supplies to create our astral weapon. But before we get to the end of this video, we shall have both our primary and offhand weapon for the rest of the series. So we have a few main things we're going to be focusing on in today's episode. Number one is we're just going to be continuing the main quest line. This way we're able to progress a bit of time, and we're going to wait until Caldera's ornate chests have reset. So that'll take about, I believe it's 7 days. So we'll do the quest, faction quest mission, and we'll loot the Cabal Temple one more time to get some extra silvers. And after that, it should be just about enough time for the chest to reset, in which we'll head back to Caldera in hope of getting our final items for the sword. But for now, we do what we always do, resting until the next day, preparing our items and whatever's needed, as well as getting a whole bunch of items that rot because I don't take care of my item inventory that well. Going back to that merchant always just to see if they have that occult remain, just as basically a free one, right? And up here is where we actually get access to the chakram we'll be using throughout the rest of the playthrough. There's two chakrams that actually have this unique enchantment. One of them is the Kazite chakram, which is the one we'll be using, and the other one is the ornate chakram, which you can buy in Levant, and I think you might be able to find it, but it's quite expensive. And the only difference between the two chakrams is that the Kazite chakram has more impact damage, and the ornate chakram looks cooler. That's, I guess, another big factor, but it does more physical damage. And since our chakram, main point of it being impact damage, we just chose to go for the Kazite because you can get it early, it does more impact. After grabbing everything we needed, we head back to the marsh to continue the quest line. So as you guys may have gathered, I'm recording this later at night, and so I'm trying to whisper and be a little bit more quiet than normal, just so I'm not waking up anybody in the house. But with everything in tow, we do our good old walking simulator all the way back to Monsoon. From here, we'll be able to go back into our inventory our town chest, and we'll be able to store all the items we grabbed and are wanting to keep from Caldera and all the other areas we've looted. One thing I always suggest grabbing here is the marshmelons you can find along the way, as you can make marshmelon tartines with them, and they are very, very good, as everyone knows if you've used them. I probably shouldn't have put away the waning tentacle and the short handle, as they only weighed, I think, like 0.5 pounds. Would have saved me a trip and an earlier access to our main weapon down along in the video, but it is what it is, man. Sometimes you just gotta do the long treks back home so you can get access to your chest again. But yeah, after getting our whole situation sorted, we head outside to where we'll find the altar and where we can learn a little bit more about the holy mission. What is your guys' favorite quest lines of the 4? I honestly, holy mission was the very first one I ever did, and I fell in love with it super quick. I became a true believer of a lat, and that's probably one of my favorite quest lines. After that, it would have to be the Harmattan, and then Blue Chamber, and then Heroic Kingdom, I guess. That's how I would rate them. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. One thing I am always pretty bad for is I don't normally do any of the side quests unless I'm looking for a specific item from a side quest. And so I do get the Purifier quest to progress here to get the unique shining backpack, but I just ignored it. I don't normally do those quests just because, I don't know, I like to speedrun towards faction quest rewards. But Let me know if you guys do side missions or whatnot. My very first time playing the game, I did absolutely everything. I went through every single dungeon I could find. I mapped them out on, like, I had my own PowerPoint, or not PowerPoint, what would you call it, PDF, and I would write and map out where I've been from the maps themselves. That way I could figure out where I've been and where I needed to go. Honestly, after I loot Chersonese the first time, I don't really backtrack to any of the ornate chests here, just because it does contain the least quality loot in the game from all the zones, right? Like, I mean, I think the best thing that you can get from them is what? The black plate armor set, which is good. It's not bad. You can also legacy chest it, but I don't know. I find there's no real reason to loot Chersonese when you got the rest of the maps.
We still have... All right. Stand back. Far back.
Honestly, one thing I really wish they go more into for Outward 2 is corruption. Like, you got corrupted ghosts, you got the Scourge, you know, you have how the Immaculate could potentially turn against corruption from one of the endings. Oh man, another really huge thing I'd love is for environmental body changes, whether you get like those magical tattoos, arms, feet of lat. Like, imagine sacrificing certain parts of your body to have improvements in Outward 2. I think that'd be awesome too. I also just want body cosmetics. I want tattoos.
Farewell, my friend.
So yeah, now with the quest done, there is no reason to return back to Chersonese at all for the rest of this playthrough, really. Unless we were wanting to do, you know, like the end game challenge dungeons, but yeah, nothing really left here, so this will be the last time I believe we're visiting Chersonese, unless we travel to Lake Harmattan and then they send us back to Sierra. So, but I will say Chersonese is probably, you couldn't have asked for a better first introduction to Outward. It's got such a classic original soundtrack. It's got like the crazy visuals with Conflicts Mountain and the grass turning purple and all that. And you got Wendigos in the map. You got the bandits running around, hyenas. It was the perfect introduction to Outward. I don't think they could have done anything better to make it more interesting. Another thing I always wanted to have is, I don't know if you guys have ever played Mountain Blade Warband or Mountain Blade Bannerlord, but there were certain like mods that would completely change the map and have it so that you could enter a completely different area that didn't exist before. I would love it if modders could come and do that to Outward. Imagine we get another zone. That would be my dream. But before Outward 2 comes out, having a mod that gives us a brand new zone, oh, I'd almost pay for that. So after selling and buying everything we need, including at least 8 travel rations, we now head straight outside back to Caldera, as the time zone has now reset and the ornate chests are good to loot again. Reminder from last time, we did end up getting the short handle, and we did end up killing the Grandmother Medivh for the Waning Tentacle, meaning the only thing that we have left to farm is the Blade Prism, and that is the only thing that's stopping us from getting our final weapon. So we will be looping kind of the opposite direction I went the first time, going to the sulfuric mines first, and then making our way kind of counterclockwise until we get back to the Emmerker Forest fast travel. Here I did do a couple more jump cuts, just showing less walking of Caldera, because literally all it was just speedrunning to these ornate chests. In the first one, we get the trinket handle again, which is for the dagger, no good. Back into the Myrmitor habitat, we are going to get another one. I actually forgot to loot the palladium scrap there, which you should always grab, because why not? And we sneak around so we don't grab aggro. But we check the chest, and yet again, unfortunately, we do not get the trinket handle. The blade prism, we get another short handle. On our way out of the Mermator Haven, we make sure we stop by the merchant that is in Caldera, selling a couple of things we grabbed along the way, and then we head back off into the Grotto of Challendency. This time I don't decide on fighting the Quartz Elemental horse because there's no point. Still don't need the quartz yet. So we just run straight across the bridge, turn right to where the last ornate chest is, and we finally get incredibly lucky and we get the blade prism. With that done, we have no more reason to be in Caldera, so we just beeline it straight back to the fast travel point. Once we get here and we head back to the Enriker Forest, we beeline it straight back to the Cabal of Wind Temple. This is going to be the last time we do the money run for a decent amount of time, as I think we've saved up at least 3,000 to 4,000 silvers, as well as in gold. So we should have way more than enough to get through a couple of skill trees and get all the breakthrough points we need. So we kind of go a weird little back way to the Cabal of Wind Temple. Once we kind of drop down here, we realize where we are, and we head back inside. But before we head back inside, we'll be killing the Immaculate here again, just because why not? It gives you, mega health potion and stamina potion and some other loot drops, so. Now, I won't lie, at the time that I was fighting this Immaculate, I kind of was just spamming mouse 1. As you see, every hit I take is about a quarter of my health, so I played pretty dumb, and I kept playing dumb. And you'll see, as I think I get almost murdered. Yep. So those are bad strategy tips. But I end up killing the Immaculate anyways, and we head back down for the last money run. So we get down, get the first Immaculate inside. Once he's in, we lock the cage, and we head upstairs to where the other Immaculate Horror is. Get him to hop on and roll off the elevator again. And once we take him to the front entrance, we take a potion. Luckily, he doesn't charge attack us there. After we get him inside and lock the gate, we go into the far right gate, get the last Shell Horror to enter the area, and with them all up, we hit the booby trap and go down to get the loot. So this is another 4 Horror Chitin, meaning we can get basically another, math is hard, 2,800 silvers-ish, right? They sell for about 700 each. So it's a good amount of money made again. With that, it should be the last run we'll need to do for a while. After heading back to Berg, we get the rest of our supplies sold and exchanged, making sure we build our Fang weapons to turn into horror weapons. Forgetting I didn't buy the house in Berg, I wasn't able to get access to my chest, and so I would look for the merchant for a occult remain, but I am unlucky. So, with all that said, we start to travel to Harmattan, and where we'll get our second breakthrough point and some of the most important skills to this build. But before doing that, we talk to the merchants, getting skills and items that we need, checking if they have occult remains. Seeing he has those palladium scrap traps, we will be able to decraft those into more palladium later. I was also debating on joining the Harmattan quest, faction quest, but I ultimately decided just to do the holy missions, as it's just such a good quest line to do. It kind of matches this build in a way as well. But with that, we have now our second breakthrough point spent and the access to Rupture and Torment. Those will be very, very good, as they'll be able to trigger the hexes that we apply through the Astral Sword and our Ornate Chakram. Or sorry, the Kazite Chakram. But with everything now in hand, we create the sword we'll be using for the rest of the playthrough, the Astral Sword. It does actually decent damage. It does 29.6 physical and 7.4 fire damage with an impact of 10 and an attack speed of 1.2. So it's one of the fastest swinging swords in the game with pitiful impact and just decent damages. However, the Astral Sword is unique because it inflicts the Haunted and Cursed debuffs. So we shall actually be able to inflict them. Each hex has a 33% buildup, so as long as we hit them 3 times, which is pretty easy with a 1.2 swing speed weapon, and our Chakram will be great as well because it'll inflict the initial stagger, and the Chakram will inflict hexes, and the sword will inflict the hexes. This is honestly my favorite way to play a hex mage, as it's such a similar concept as it would be with either the Rainbow Hex Saber or, maybe the totems, although the totems are way more broken for a hex build. But this is just a very unique way to do it. It makes uses of one of the enchantments in the game that's locked to chakrams. It's also makes use of a sword category, the astral weapons, which honestly don't get that much use. If I remember correctly here, I'll do a quick little Google search. Astral Dagger for the offhand, as that gives us a 7% decay damage bonus with a enchantment Midnight's Dance giving us 10% more, so 17%. Like, that's kind of the only reason I use the astral weapons. The one thing I actually haven't figured out what I want to do yet for this build is our armor. I'm not too locked into anything yet. Normally when I make these builds, I like to kind of pre-find the armor I'm going to use and enchant. But in this playthrough, I kind of didn't think that far ahead. I think I'm going to use the Shield Golem chest piece that you can get from Harmattan, because then you can enchant it with economy, and that's one of the most broken enchantments in the game. It gives you like stamina and magical cost reduction and some other stuff to it, but it's a really, really good enchantment, especially on the Harmattan chest piece. What is it called? Shield Golem chest piece? I don't know. You guys know what I'm talking about. But yeah, other than that chest piece, boots, I have no idea. Headpiece, I got no idea. I mean, simplest is just to go Scholar's Circlet, and then, you get your cooldown reduction with potentially the Rain enchant to get more mana per second, but I don't know. Let me know in the comments down below if you guys got any advice for headgear and boots for this build. Well, yeah, here we get to actually test out the Astral Sword for the first time. We get that first dagger, and after the 4th hit, I think I saw the debuffs apply. Yeah. And like that, we stagger him down to death. Even with only the 2 hexes, it still does pretty decent damage now. And our build is on its way to being fully functional and really, really fun. So our 2 breakthrough points, if you guys remember, was the Philosopher and the Hex Mage, meaning we have 1 breakthrough point left. And I kind of wanted to leave this up to you guys who are still watching this video, because if you made it this far and you kind of want to keep watching and see how the build goes, I want you guys to be involved in figuring out how this build will work. So I'm going to give you 2 options. We either have Speedster as a breakthrough point, giving us even more cooldown reduction for our Chakram, Arc, and Pierce. We'll be able to use them more often, and our Torment and Rupture will be also be able to be used more often. So that's one route. But the other way that we can go is the Cabal Hermit, as it'll give us more damage with all of our hexes when we're buffed and they're debuffed. It'll also give us access to Wind Imbue, which will increase the stagger of our sword, but more importantly give us that extra 0.1 attack speed. So now we're at 1.3 attack speed, the quickest attack speed in the game. But yeah, those are my two options that I was trying to pick from and I couldn't decide, so I'll let you guys decide. Our main objective right now is honestly just still looting, right? Being a loot goblin, grabbing everything we can. If we're able to find elementals and kill them for their elemental particles, it's always good to have a decent amount on hand, as you can turn them into those sanctifier potions if you're corrupted, or just having them in general in case you need to enchant. There's a couple things we'll be enchanting as well right now. Main thing is our chakram, so we can actually have the weapons perfected. After that, I eventually want to get the enchantment on the astral sword. I think it's Poltergeist. This is just so it has a self-repair function on it, and we never have to worry about necessarily breaking it. Then lastly would be our armor, right? We're also going to want to look around the map for the sleep route, as we are going to also need those for enchanting. And the only other spot that I can remember is in Conflicts Mountain. So I'm gonna make sure I grab all the ones that I need here before we head back to Monsoon. One question I got, and I actually don't have an answer for this yet, is if Outward 2 was to introduce a brand new element, what kind of element would you like to see, or what do you think they could add? So we have fire, frost, lightning, decay, and ethereal. The main 5. I feel like we should have like an opposite to ethereal, right? Like how ethereal, well, some people might say the opposite to ethereal is physical damage, but I was saying like maybe make an opposite for that, because I mean the only other way you're doing that is if you make like a rock paper scissors with one of the other ones. One thing I kind of wanted to do as well is I might post a poll to take for like 48 hours in the Outward subreddit, because I want to see what kind of builds people are going to make in Outward 2. Because I feel like the majority of people are going to go magic, but I mean, who knows? Biggest thing, if I could have anything in Outward 2, I would want them to expand upon gun magic. I feel like that is such a cool idea, where you're shooting spells out of, it doesn't even have to be a flintlock pistol, but you're shooting something out of a gun that's not a bullet, but it's magic, or a magic bullet. That's really cool. I really want them to expand on that. And then other than that, I don't know. I feel like I might do magic run first, and then after magic, I'll do dual wielding. But we'll see. We'll have to see. I'm super excited. 2026 seems so far away now, but it's already April, right? It's already the end of April here, guys. This might be the last video here for like a good 2 weeks, as I'm heading to Spain, so I'm going on vacation, and I won't be back until May. So I'll be doing that, and I'll be leaving this video here for you guys until I return. And I actually got to start recording a little bit more of this build as well, because I'm running out of footage. I'm getting caught up. So we sell the last of our horror weapons there, and we are gonna basically beeline it straight back home. Another video I'm actually working on, which it's taking me forever because of a lot of personal bias and my opinion changing every time I retry to listen to this, is a Outward OST tier list. I want to go through all, I think, what is it, 40 something OSTs from the base game all the way to Caldera, and I'm gonna rank them. I'm just gonna make a tier list like those shitty tier lists you see online. I'm gonna do one of them, and I'm gonna give my opinion on what I think the best what the best Outward OSTs are. I'm actually so happy that Jean-Francois Racine is coming back for Outwards 2. Let me know if I butchered that pronunciation, by the way. He has slowly become my favorite composer in like the last 5 years. The very first time I ever played Outward and I listened to his musical compositions, I was enthralled. His music is really what made me want to play more of Outward. And I think I haven't fanboyed over this, or over a composer like this, in a long time. So, love that man. If I can ever meet in real life, I'm getting an autograph. But yeah, so back home, we grab the items we need from the chests, some of our elemental particles to turn into our enchantment gear, and we're going to bring everything to the front and get our chakram enchanted so we can stop using the frozen chakram. It'll still be in our inventory as it inflicts that elemental vulnerability debuff. So if we're ever fighting a big boss, like maybe the Scarlet Emissary or whatever, that's an example, you'd want to use that chakram first to apply that debuff to maximize our damage, but yeah. So we buy our enchantment tables and some of those occult remains, and we get going to getting our weapons enchanted. So it's right about here where I start. I remember the very first time I tried to enchant something. I don't know about, what was your guys' very first enchantment? Mine was Thirst for my dagger, and I didn't realize that it had to be nighttime to get the enchantment to work, so I was fiddling with it for like half an hour. Yeah, the enchanting in this game takes a little bit to get used to, but once you know how to do it the first time, you're pretty much golden. The way I always do it is a far totem is a roll and a little slight step forward, and that is the perfect distance. And with the last totem placed and all of our instances inside, we finally have our Kazite Chakram enchanted with the Musing of a Philosopher is the enchantment's name. But yeah, we are now ready to see the full weight of this build, as now we have access to 4 out of the 5 hexes. With that said, that's going to be the end of this video. I hope y'all take care and have a good one.